So you want something that looks good in the bag, but you don't want to have to be a professional golfer to carry the doggone thing. We have an iron that just might fit that bill. Watch what we're testing next. Welcome back to the Golf Shop. Jim McCleary here, and this is where we do golf club reviews, golf club repairs, golf club fittings, all so your scores can go low, and where customers become friends. So what is it that can get in your bag? What is it that looks cool? And what is, you don't have to be like the perfect ball striker in order to be able to hit them. Now we're talking irons. How about the Mizuno 245? Right there, the Mizuno 245. There we go. Mizuno 245. It is a hollow body iron. I have been waiting for this one for a while now, almost 2 years. Now the 245, or the 225, which is this guy, did not come in left-handed. This one does. And man, have I been waiting on this one. I like a hollow body iron. I've always liked them. They perform well. They do have that cool look. And literally, what are they? Well, they're kind of a generic, we'll call it a generic perimeter weighted club, i.e. cavity back, with a cap on it. So you get the perimeter weighted forgiveness, but you get with the cap that bladed look. Okay, that's what it's all for. So what has Mizuno done? Well, Mizuno has taken, I'll put this one down. Mizuno has taken what they call chromoly, which is 4135E steel, and they have forged a single billet into the neck, the face, and basically the body of the iron. And then they put a cap on the back. And the cap in this one is in the 2 through the 7, 2 through the 8, 2 through the 8, right-handed only. Lefties were 4 through the 8. Has a 431 stainless steel cap or back on the backing, and there's just shy of 50 grams of tungsten down here in the bottom that's being suspended. Now, we've done this a few times. Why is that there? Well, you take all that tungsten, you put it low in the club face, so that when the lofts get stronger, you still get that launch that you're looking for in order to get the, the ball flight. So a 7 looks like a 7, pitch and wedge looks like a pitch and wedge, exactly, right? All right, so that's the chromoly, what they call that. Now, from the 9 pitch and gap, pretty certain that's the way this is going to go, 9 pitch and gap, it is a 1025E steel. So they're normal steel that they make the 241s, the 243s out of. And it still has the same neck, face, and the body is made with that. And the back is a 17.4 stainless steel. And it still has some of that in there. So, Jim, why the different steel, right? Why the different steel? Well, it's to get certain feels, number one, and because you're in the lower end and all these extra high lofts, you may not need all that extra springiness to get what you want out of it, right? So, I won't say dumbing it down, but giving you a different feel so they get the performance that they want. So now what do? So they've got this thing forged. So they got it forged, and they've got the grooves pressed into the face. And then when it's all said and done and the cap's put on it, that they cover it in copper. Right after they've done all the finishing and whatnot, they cover it in copper. What's copper do? Copper gives it that softer feel. That's the Mizuno feel. That's their technique. Other than the grain flow forging, this copper also helps with producing the feel that many Mizuno acolytes love. Okay. They like this, and they've got their name out there for a reason. Then once it's done with that, then they cover it in the casing or the next covering that gives it that satiny look, or case it in chrome or whatever you want to call it. But there's another layer on the outside. So now that we got all that done, what did they do differently to make it better? Well, from them, they said they made the blade length smaller. they made the whole club look smaller, okay? They made it look smaller. So I got a righty and I got a lefty. And I don't know, does it look smaller? I can't tell. Let's look in here. There we go. Maybe it is a little smaller, just by a little bit. If we look at it from this way and we look at it from a sole width, the sole width is certainly thinner. And then if we look at it from a top line, the top line is also thinner. Now, how do they accomplish that? Well, there's a couple of ways. Number one is they've got a chamfer here, and they've rolled the back end of the sole. And then why is that? For turf interaction. Once you have the turf interaction, then they rolled the front end so that you don't have diggers. This is a really well-designed club. I really like the curvature that they've put into it. I like a lot of curves. I don't like a lot of sharp edges. Now on the top, what they've done is, of course, they've painted it gray because the shiny makes it look wider, but they've also taken a little edge off the back here as well. Now the 241s, this thing is way thin. This one is thicker, but it's still, this one would compete with a lot of other normal blades. So that's what we got. So they've made it hollow body. They made the loft stronger. They've made the turf interaction supposedly a little bit better. And then the way that they produce it with this, the way that they've designed it, tour speeds, that's their quote, not mine. Tour speeds with the launch angles that everybody's looking for. So that's pretty cool. So what they sent me a 5-iron, a 7-iron, and a pitching wedge. And when we do that, we take them to the shop and we measure them. All right, so when we take anything into our shop, the first thing that we do is we measure our length. Okay, we measure the length. And our 5-iron came out at 38 3/8, same as our 241. It came out at 37 1/2 at the 7-iron. And then it came out at 35 7/8 at the pitching wedge. Now, with both of those came out identical between the 241s and the 245s. So we know we're dealing with something consistent there. Next is frequency. And frequency is flex, okay? So I tested the 5, it came out at right at the bottom end of the stiff range. The 7-iron, right at the bottom end of the stiff range. And the pitching wedge just shy of the middle of the stiff range. So using these dynamic gold mids, the 115s, were a little bit softer than the KBS clubs that were in the 241s. I'm digging on that. All right, so the next one is swing weight. So how do we do that? How do we do there? Well, the 5-iron, we swing weighted D2. And that's pretty good considering the 115 shaft and the length that we've got and everything's going on. In the 7-iron, we got a D2 again. Very consistent so far, right? And in the pitching wedge, D3. And I think that's going to be a pattern. I've seen it in the other clubs that it'll be, like that D2 range in on all the playing irons, and you get into the wedge or wedges, and they'll turn out to D3s. That very well may be a thing for me. All right, and last but not least, and here's where things start going off the rail for most companies. Let's see. So we measured the lofts and the lies. So I measured mine at 25 60 1/2 for the 5-iron. The 7-iron came out at 30 61 1/2, where the pitching wedge was 43 62. Now, what were they supposed to be? Well, the 5-iron is supposed to be 24 60 1/2. So literally, it was a degree weak. I give a degree to anybody out there, including Mizuno. So, but we would check that. That's what I would be looking at when we go through this. The 7-iron was a 30 61 1/2. Dead on. And then the other one was 43 63, so it was a degree flat. Now that one I would change. All right, so what does all that mean? That means that the clubs I got were very, very, very close to the spec. Now in every case, these are, when you buy new golf clubs, that is an investment, right? So if you're having these made or you're ordering them in from a shop that can do it, certainly ask to have the lofts, the lies, the lengths taken, have them looked at to make sure that they are correct. You know, an operator could have a bad day, you know, and we're off by a degree in the pitching wedge, which I would change, right? And that's what we do here. So make sure you got the right specifications, which leads me into the next piece. How do you know what you got the right specifications? Go get fit, right? Go get fit. It is the most efficient money you will ever spend in your golf game. You'll know what you need, you go out and get it, your golf gets better, scores go lower, everything is much happier. Okay, that's what you need to go do. All right, next, we got to go hit them. Okay, here we are with the Mizuno 245 in the 5.7 and pitching wedge. Now, this is something to get excited about because I have found some of my distance back even after a small session hitting on them. So let's get to seeing what these things look like. So if we go back here and we look at, this is the pitching wedge and we see the flight of that. Pretty nice high angle, most towards the middle, just one or two to the right, and not too bad. If we go to the 7-iron, the 7-iron's a little bit wild still, but not as bad as it was when I was hitting the 241s. We're starting to get more of a trend. I'm always going to be a guy that hits to the inside. And there's that one. I got this guy right here is a little strange. We'll have to take a look at that. And then for the 5-iron, the 5-iron goes a little wide, and that was just me pulling on it. And there it is. That's pretty much a fan. Now, this is kind of the way you expect it to go, with the shorter club being tight, the next one maybe a little less tight, and the next one up there. All right, so if we put it all together, it looks like this. So there's the pitching wedge. These are the 6 shots. We're going to trim it down. There's the 6 shots, and there's the 6 shots. So there's a bunch of overlap. Apparently, I was hitting the 7-iron pretty doggone good, and the 5-iron not very much. But if we go back through here, and we see what our numbers are, so about 177, 179 total, 167, 171, 125, 127. These are numbers I'm good with in the 7 and the pitching wedge. A hair short with the Mizuno at this particular point, and we'll show you here in just a second. Now I want to take them out. If we go into the number for the 5-iron, and we use this as our governess, so I'm going to take out these guys right here, and let's see. Yep, I'm going to take out that one, take out that one, take out that one. So that's what that one looks like. All right, it's a pull. That looks like a 5-iron from me anyway. And then there's the 7. So we'll take out that one. And we will take out that one. And then that's a pretty doggone good post, but let's just keep going with it. There we go. There's those 3. And then we get with this one. Let's go back right here. So we take out that one and that one and the first shot. Oh, good. There we go. Now we're starting to get a little bit better, getting used to swinging the golf clubs. So now if we look at them all together, bam, bam, bam. All right, not too bad. Still need to work on my 5-iron, but everything's coming together pretty decent. These are landing spots, by the way. Now if we go back and we look at the table, now what does it look like? 183 to 185, that is much, much better. That is a 5-iron for me, although in the wastelands of the fairway. 170, 178, that's exactly what I expect out of my 7, and 130-ish is what I expect out of it. So this thing's hitting like my current clubs with a heavy steel shaft, heavier steel shaft, and a nicer kick in the flex. So not too bad at all. So if we look at it, give you the flights one more time, and we do it like this. That's certainly a much more acceptable shot for sure. And we do it like this. And they're all going that direction. I'm still pulling it, but now I'm pulling it into a tighter pattern. And then we get to the 5-iron, and it takes off, and there it is. Then this is just ridiculously pulled. And there we go. So, all in all, did it work? The answer, in my opinion, is yes, particularly when you see these numbers. And right here, the last bit we'll mention smash factor. These are incredibly high smash factors as far as I'm concerned with irons of these magnitudes. Very, very fine in the middle of the club face. The spin rates, 5,000, that's right on target. That one's a little low, and that one is just a skosh low. But all in all, hit them very, very well without any crazy different swings on them. So let's finish this up and go talk about it some more. Okay, so these things worked, right? They worked. Now, could I tell the difference in the chromoly versus the 1025E steel? No, I could not. Why is that? Well, I don't have that kind of touch, number one. But number two, you know, when you're hitting the pitching wedge, you're going to get a lot of feedback on that. But when you hit the clubs in the middle, they're always going to feel good. And I hit these clubs pretty much in the middle this time around. My swing's starting to get a little bit better. I'm not there yet, but we're trying. And I was starting to see the distances, particularly in the 7 and the wedge. And the 5 iron was getting close. I'd like to see it a little bit longer, but that's just me. And it could have been that was weaker. We'll take credit for that. But they got the distance I want. The patterns were very, very tight, as you saw, with just those 3. Now, I always start off with 6, and I always pare them down, okay? That's what I do. Now, we do that here in fittings. We take several shots. And while I have the golfer here, I will pare them down so that they can see what their shot pattern should look like. I will take out a very high shot and a very low shot so that we get a minimum. So they're not getting any false positive longs, okay? That's the whole idea of this, a reality check. So anyway, I was hitting them pretty good. They look fantastic at address. They felt very good when you hit them. They also tell you when you're off. I mean, the smaller blade length means you got to be more towards the middle, but these are massively more forgiving than 241s will ever be. Now, if you really, really wanted to, you could combo these, particularly right-handed guys, because the right-handed starts at a 2 iron. So if you were comparable enough or comfortable enough to be able to hit a 2 or even a 3 iron, the 2 or 3 iron in this set would be the way to go. Then you could start in the 4, get down into the 6 area maybe in the 2-4-3s, and if you're really playing, after that go into the 2-4-1s. That's the comboing. Putting the best club behind you for the best performance and the most consistency. That's what you can do with that one. So there that is. So Mizuno's doing a really fine job. These clubs look really good. They've done everything that they said they were going to do. They've given the feel that they said they were going to give, and the performance is there. So average golfer, I think, can play these. All right, a better ball striker is going to nuke them. Right, get the right shaft, get the right length, get the right lofts and lies, and this thing is a real weapon. So hopefully you like what you saw. If you got any questions, put them in the show notes below, and we'll get to them. And as always, let's see your scores go low.